and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to teach you the basic sound setups for your audio mixer. I'm going to go ahead and move that up. I'm also going to teach you how to set up a footer, a moving ticker, your visualizer, how to put your camera on here, to do a basic share screen, and a background as well. So the first thing that I want to teach you is in your audio mixer, how to remove any of the mixers that you won't be using the audio for. As you can see, I have my standard microphone here. Then I have my secondary microphone auxiliary, which I'm going to stop talking for a minute and you'll see a reason why I have it muted. Right there, you will see that my sound of my computer comes through this microphone. And the way to get rid of these so that you're not using them, I just mute them out. You see this is muted here. You can unmute them by ticking here. But what I do is I click on these three dots and you're just going to go hide. Same with this one here. Hide that one. And you're going to hide this one as well. Now, if you're using this for gaming, say, and you're sharing a screen, whatever audio input for your gaming will show up as another audio mixer on its own. Another thing that you can do is you can right-click this panel under Audio Mixer, and you can convert it to a vertical layout, which will show your audio mixers up and down. I'm not a big fan of vertical. I prefer the horizontal. I taught you on my earlier video here that this is where all of your active sound sources are coming from. You will see here that my desktop audio is here, and then my mic access is here, and then this here is for my virtual camera, which your virtual camera is, you need an input source like Discord or Zoom meetings to where it requires you to have an input of a camera source. This will turn any source, any of your scenes, into an actual virtual camera so that you can dispatch it in or link it in with OBS. Now, if you are trying to test your audio to see how it sounds before you start recording, you can go to your microphone here, your first microphone, and you can do this little tick down here, and you can monitor it only with a mute output so it's not playing over your desktop audio. Because if you do monitor and output, you're going to hear a echo. So if you're going to listen to your sound, you can either listen here or you can go into your sound settings on your computer. You can right-click it, go to sounds, and then in this sounds panel here, you're going to go to recording, where you have all of your audio devices, and you have your microphone here. You can also go into properties here, and you can go to tick this listen to device, tick that there, and you can play it back over headphones so that you can hear what you're saying. Then you'll hit apply and you'll listen to whatever. I prefer using OBS over my headphones to test my audio quality. With that said, you have your audio mixer set up. That is the base setup for your audio mixer. Now, if you have not watched my very first video on the basics of OBS, I highly recommend it because you're going to want a lot of these filters. Otherwise, some of these you might not be able to use. I'm going to start with one single one on the desktop audio. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on your desktop audio, the three dots, and you're going to go down to filters. In the filters panel, you're going to hit plus, and you're going to choose limiter. What this will do when you're playing audio files, like I use a lot of intro music, and I don't want it to ever go in the red area. Red area is going to distort your sound. If you notice here, it says -10 right before the yellow. I normally set my desktop audio, this is all preference, between 12 and 9 decibels, negative. Otherwise, you're going to get it to go into the red. That'll be it for there. And then we're going to go ahead into the microphone settings. This might get a little confusing. I will try to teach you as slow as possible. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to hit the 3 dots. You're going to go to filters, hit plus, and you're going to go to compressor. And in the compressor, what this is going to pretty much do is take your audio, compress it, and then you can adjust your output gain. That way, whether you're talking super close to your microphone or you're a little bit further away, this is going to compress all of your audio. Your ratio is set 4:1. The threshold that I use, also my personal preference, mine is -20.40 decibels. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust this threshold. Set your threshold so that your voice, whether you're close or far away, just to see where you get the audio. This is me getting closer, and if you see, it never goes above that. So with the threshold, mine is -20.40. Put the threshold too low, it won't pick it up. If you put it really high, it's going to blast your voice. So I'm going to put mine back on -20.40. The attack time is super important that it's set at 2 milliseconds. Otherwise, you're going to have very choppy audio. The same with your release. You want that to be 100 milliseconds because it will hold your voice and keep your audio source open before it completely shuts off and cuts your voice off as well. You can adjust your output gain depending on how far away you want to speak from your mic. So if you're going to be speaking from your mic, say 2 feet away, your output gain, you're going to want your decibels to be higher. I have my sound on my computer itself outside of OBS set to +10 decibels. But as soon as you go into recording with OBS, it's going to override all of your system settings to what you're using in OBS as soon as you start using it. That's whether you're streaming or you're recording pre-recorded. It's going to go off of this. Anything you set up in your system settings are going to be overridden by OBS. And to make sure that OBS does get seniority over your system audio, you're going to go to the little speaker volume thingy. You're going to right-click it, go to sounds, and then in recording, you're going to go to properties. In your advanced tab, you're going to see the exclusive mode. You want to allow all applications to take exclusive control of this device and give exclusive mode applications priority. This way, OBS can override your system setting. The sidechain ducking source, you want that to be set to none. Hit your plus again, and you're going to go to expander. You're going to make sure your expander, the expander preset rather than gate. Your ratio, again, is going to be 4:1. Your threshold, you're going to want to mess with this, but the threshold that I have it set at is -14.7. And then again, your attack time, 2 milliseconds. Your release time, 100 milliseconds. Your output gain, this depends on how far away your microphone is going to be from your face. I turn mine down to -5 because I normally do my live streams or my videos with my microphone anywhere between 3 and 6 inches from my face. So if you're going to be speaking, say your microphone's about 2 feet away, you're going to want your output gain to be a little bit higher. And then for the detection, you want it to be RMS because the peak will only go at the peak volume of what you're setting your sound at. And then the next thing you want to do is a noise suppression. Again, hit the plus. You're going to go to noise suppression right here. And then in the settings, you want it to be speaks instead of RN noise. The RN noise takes way more computer usage than you really want to put into doing that, and you have the chance of it being really choppy. So my suppression level is -55. And the reason why I do that is so that my mic does not start picking up any audio until it hits this -55 point. So if my son is in the kitchen and he's opening the refrigerator or trying to do dishes, or the dog is barking down the hallway, all of that background noise is being suppressed out. You can adjust that wherever you want. What I advise you to do is set it under a quarter of the way, anywhere below -50, and go test the sounds around your house to see if your mic or your auxiliary is picking up any background sounds, and then slowly adjust this out. You can also apply this for mouse clicking noises. If you're noticing a lot of mouse clicking noises, you can put a suppression on there and then just turn it up a little bit so that it's not picking up your mouse clicking and all that. Now, if you're talking while you're clicking your mouse, the chances of it picking up mouse clicks, I mean, there's still a possibility. Now, I used to use a noise gate, but I stopped using it since I found out how to use the compressor, the expander, and the noise suppression together. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on my noise gate. If you guys want to use a noise gate, you can do this. I've noticed it chops up my voice. Just make sure your close and your open threshold, if you are going to use a noise gate, has a 5 decibel difference. So your close threshold is going to be higher but lower on this bar. So -58, you want it to stay to the left of what your open threshold is and at least be like a 5-6 difference there. And then the attack time, you want it to be 1 or 2 milliseconds. The hold time, 100 milliseconds. And then the release time, 2 milliseconds. So it releases it pretty quick. A lot of people will tell you like it's like 1, 10, and 10 or something like that. That all depends on you. I'm just showing you how my audio works, how you can make it sound like a studio microphone if it's just a cheap $10 or $20 microphone. And then the next important thing you want to do is you want to set a limiter. That way, when you're talking in your microphone, and I'm going to go ahead and show you what happens if you adjust this limiter. So if you put it down low, it's going to limit, right now it's at -25, it's limiting my voice from being super low. So you want to mess with this to where your voice threshold never hits that red region. I like to have, I like to have mine between 15 and 10. I just normally set it on -12 so that it really doesn't get very far into that red. Because like I said, I always have my mic close to my mouth. Is right now doing this tutorial for you, I have it about 6 inches from my face. And then the release time, I have mine set to 60 milliseconds. That all depends on you. In my opinion, anything lower, anything higher makes my voice choppy, but it depends on how you're setting it up. This is my setup. And then that is literally all I've done for my audio. Now, in the beginning of that, you heard me recording music as I was doing this. The only thing I do is I mute my microphone. I can't talk while I do this, but I mute my microphone. And then I take my desktop audio from right about here, and I'm going to go ahead and do it in real time. And then on my secondary screen, I play the music. I bring the desktop audio up. And then once I'm done, I bring the volume back down for my desktop audio, and then I unmute my microphone. I'm going to go ahead and do that for you just to show you some of the things that you can do to intro in if you're doing a live stream. And just like that. So that is how you set up all your audio mixers, your desktop audio, put gates on them, limiters on them, put special filters on them. You can mess with all the filters that are in this. There's some that I still have not got a chance to mess with. As I do and I learn them better, I will teach you anything new or anything that I've changed on mine. Okay, now that we have that set up, I am going to untick all of these extra things minus my screen share because you're going to want to see my screen. I'm going to take that off. I'm going to take the footer off. And the first thing you're going to want to do is a background. I'm going to delete that just so I can teach you how to do it. All you do is hit the plus sign right here. Go to image and you're going to name it whatever you want. And then you're just going to go select whatever background image. I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. That's the first thing you're going to have there is your background. So I can't unshare my screen, but what I can do just for a minute for purposes of showing you how to fix your background is you're going to want to adjust your background to wherever it is. Let's say, for instance, you load your background. I'm just going to do it for it. And it's lopsided to what you want. All you're going to do is put it to the top left-hand corner. And then you're going to take your shift button. You're going to push shift in. I think it would be command on a Mac. And you're going to grab this piece here. And then you're going to hold shift still. And you're going to take this piece here. Say, for instance, you want your background so that it's just like this explosion. You can make your image way bigger than the screen. And then what you're going to do is you're going to hold Alt. And what Alt's going to do is literally crop off anything that you don't want seen. But Alt will let you crop images. And you can always hit Control Z to go back on any errors that you've made. Okay. So then once you have your background, you're going to go ahead and lock it. That way it does not become clickable. The only thing that's clickable right now is me moving that. So depending on how you're planning on setting up your screen, that is all up to you. You're going to hit plus, and you're going to go to Display Capture. And then in your Display Capture, you can name it whatever you want. I'm going to name this one My Screen. What you want to do is select the screen that you're going to be sharing. So select whatever screen you want. And then I'm also going to show you so that you're not sharing everything on your desktop or whatever. You just hold your Alt button and you take it up to whatever you want to share. You can do this with YouTube. You can do this with anything that you want. And the same with here. I don't need that very top bar, but I do want to keep that in. And then you just drag your screen size with nothing held to whatever size you want. If you're gaming, you can put this in the corner. You can create another screen. This is how you do a screen in screen. Is you make this one as big as you want, depending on where you want. And then you can add a secondary screen, going to Display Capture, name it whatever you want. I'm going to do it like that. And then here you will see I have my Photoshop on my other screen, which I'm going to show you also how to do footers. So I'm just going to make this smaller while I teach you the next step. Now, when you go to put a footer on your thing, just depends if this is the step that you want to go. You're going to go to whatever program that you're using. You're going to create a new one. And then the size that you want for that bottom footer would be 1920 by 50 height. And I do resolution of 300, but most standard resolutions are 72 dpi or pixels per inch. And then what I've done is I've created this footer here. I also have a black and white version. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing this screen. Get my OBS back up here so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm just going to make this full screen for now, or close to full screen. You're going to add a image. Name it whatever you want. I'm going to name it feeder because I have so many things named footer in here. You cannot rename anything in any of your scenes, anything the same exact name. And then you're just going to go to browse. So for now, I'll just use my black and white one. Okay. I'm going to lock my screen for a minute. And then your footer, you're just going to drag it to where you want. And then here, again, if you're using an image somebody else has made, if you want your footer, say you see something on here that you absolutely love and then you don't want the rest of that, you can literally just hold your Alt, cut that out, hold your Shift, and then drag it completely over to where you just have this footer here. Same with the top part of it. Like, you can hold Shift and you can make it bigger, smaller, whatever you want. This is just my preference. I'm going to go ahead and go Control Z. I'm going to put that back just like that. And that is how you do a footer. And then to create a new ticker, you're going to hit plus here on the scene side, not your sources, on the scenes. You're going to rename your scene tickers. So I'm going to have to share my screen, so I just had to add my screen here so that you can see what I'm doing. So I have my ticker made here. And then on this side, depending on what you want to do, so if you just want a regular disclaimer, you're going to go to add, and you're going to add a text GDI. And then in that text GDI, you can pick whatever font you want, whatever size you want. I personally use a system-friendly, readable one like Times New Roman, Tahoma, Arial, something like that. You want your font size to be 14, and I prefer them to be bold so that they stand out. And then you're going to hit OK. And then here is where you're going to type in whatever you want. And then you want anti-aliasing on because that will make it easier to read. Then you can pick your font color by clicking here. Pick whatever color you want. I'll make it red for now so you see. And then you can choose a background if you want. You can change the opacity of your font. You can change the opacity of your background. If you don't want anything, if you just want it scrolling across there without anything, you can turn the opacity down. And then you click OK, and then you will have your ticker up top. In order to get it scrolling, you're going to right-click it. You're going to go to Filters. You're going to hit plus, and you're going to put Scroll on. Then in your scroll panel, I'm going to set everything to default. That way you see the ticker's not moving. Now, just change your ticker to where you want it to scroll. And then you have a ticker there. Now, if you want to use one from an image file, you can do that as well. You just go plus, add an image, and your image is going to be the same thing as your footer. It's just going to have your writing on it. And I'm going to show you what mine looks like. And the same thing here for the image. To get the image to scroll, you're going to right-click, go to Filters, and you're going to do plus. You're going to go to Scroll, and you're going to change your scroll speed. The reason why I'm saying that it's good to have the tickers here is because it will keep all of that out of there. So in this panel now, all you're going to do is go to Add, Scene, and then down here, all you're going to do is add existing scene. You don't want to create a new one. You're going to add your existing scene because it's your ticker scene. And then you're just going to click on it, and boom, there. Now, the awesome thing about that is then all you have to do is go into your tickers. If you don't want that one there for now, and you want that one there, boom, it's already done. And now you have that ticker. Instead of to keep adding ones here and scrolling through a whole bunch of things in your sources. In my opinion, it's easier, especially if you're going to be making multiple tickers. And then the next step, I'm going to just show you how to add a basic camera. You just go into plus, video capture device, name it webcam if you want to. So then what's going to come into here, you're going to go in, I go to USB live camera. And then you just take your image, make it as big as you want, whatever you want to do there. Now, here's the thing that you can do with your web camera. You can go into Filters, then you're going to go to Effect Filters, and you are going to add background removal. Okay. And this is if you want to take your background off of your thingy, you can adjust your threshold depending on how you want. I highly recommend holding your hand in front of your camera because if you have long hair that's all over the place, it's going to mess with it. And then you can change your contour. You can smooth it. You can blend it with a feather, which I don't like a feather very much. I only put it on like 0.05. Depending on if you have a GPU that can handle it. If not, you can use CPU. You want to calculate your mask, your frame, every one frame. Otherwise, it won't work. The more threads you use, the better it will do at doing that. You can mess with all these. There's a selfie segmentation. This one might actually, oh, that one's not good. But I highly recommend moving around to whatever you want to do. If you add this background removal on it, if you add any filters onto anything and you want to keep that, but you don't want to use it in that specific thingy, just hit the little eyeball here. And when you hit that eyeball, you can turn these filters off and on. I'm going to leave mine off because it's pointless right now. I'm going to leave my video up there. That's how you set up a webcam. Now, if you want to set up an image where it moves, see how it does this? So you're going to add an image. You're going to pick whatever, see, same thing. If you use a transparent image, you can get it to do this as well. I'm going to do it on a square one for anybody that wants to just do it to a square. Okay. And then you just click OK to your image. You're going to right click on it, go to filters. On here, you're going to hit the plus and you're going to go to scale to sound. You're going to initiate that filter. And then the settings that you can do this on, you can choose it to go to your desktop audio, which unless you're playing music, you can do it to your desktop audio, but you're going to choose your mic. And then you can choose your audio threshold. Like if you want it to respond to your voice a lot, turn the threshold up. If you only want it to respond to like bassiness in your voice, then put the threshold a little bit lower. I'm going to put mine about 90. And then the audio ceiling, you want it completely up, 0 decibels, nothing there. Now, you can make a minimum size, make it real small. And when you talk a lot, it gets real big. I don't recommend setting it below 80%, 90%. We'll do 90%. You can smooth it. You want to scale the width, scale the height. I chose both of these for center. And then the next thing you want to add is SD effects. And the only reason why I put SD effects on it is to add a shadow to it. If you don't want to, that's what it looks like without a shadow. It's not a huge difference. And then you hit close. I want my footer on top of everything. I'm going to lock my webcam. Here's my squirrel. All right, and then all you do is scale it to whatever size you want. I'm going to drag this out. So you see this is the full image size. And then you just scale it to wherever you want. If you want your logo to do that. If you don't want your logo to make that whatever, you don't have to do that. Here's another option. Say, for instance, have some sort of visualizer on there. You're just going to go to Add, Waveform Visualizer. This is what mine looks like. And I'm going to show you just simple things on how to set it up. I chose my microphone. You can make your visualizer go to any sound. Cool thing about this is the display mode. You can choose a curve, which if you take this and you want it to have that fiery effect, and then I'm going to move it over here so you can see what's going on. If you want it to be circular, choose curve, radial, and you can either make it go inverted, invert radial direction. And then what that does is it creates a burst. You want to change your dead zone so it's a little bit bigger. And this is how you get that effect like StreamYard and Melon and all of them use to where you're getting the audio spikes. And then what I normally would do here is I would take my icon, put it in the bottom corner, and then I would take this here, put that on top of whatever audio, make it whatever size you're trying to portray to be around it. And that is pretty much it. You can adjust the radial arc, which that just moves it around. I'm going to leave mine at 360. You can change the radial rotation, which depending on where you want the sound to shoot out of, I leave it on 0. I set this to mono because if you set it to stereo, it does a totally different thing. That's up to you. I usually choose mono. The FFT size depends on how big you want your flares to be. The smaller the flare, the more it's going to mimic more like a melon. Whereas something like this is going to be more unique to you. If you put it on 0, it's going to look similar to StreamYard. And then also that thingy there is going to depend on which thing you select here. I normally choose Han, and I like to have FFTs, so we go and do that. And then your gravity here, if you put gravity up really high, it's going to hold the peaks of your audio up. Whereas if you put it really low, it's going to respond to your voice super quick. Another thing you can do is if you want it to be slow motion and look kind of like fire or whatever, you can also tick the fast peaks, which will make them drop as soon as your voice stops. You can also adjust this depending on what you want, how you want your visualizer to look like. You don't have to use this either. I'm just teaching you what I know. And then you click OK. And like I said, you can make this bigger, you can adjust it, you can put it around a shape, you can mask it, you can do whatever the hell you want. Boom, like that. Move it in a little bit. And then I'm just going to lock those two things. I'm going to take my webcam, I'm going to unlock that. And I'm just going to put my webcam right above here. I'm going to lock that again. And then I'm going to unlock my screen capture. And there you go. That is a basic setup to make it look like StreamYard or whatever. StreamYard, technically, if you're going to use StreamYard, this is how it's going to look. I'll show you the various setups that I have. So this is how I have it set up to where it cuts out my background. And then, like, for instance, if I go to the bathroom, I just put my logo up over my thing. And that's pretty much it, y'all. So this is what I use for when I do my Kylie Rodney stuff or casework stuff. This is what I would use when I'm gaming. My other screen isn't on because my Xbox isn't on. None of my chats and none of my other things are showing. And then whenever I'm doing my lives with 2 screens, this is my setup here. This is what I test everything out in. These are some new features that I'm learning to mess with. And then whenever I'm teaching, here you go. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you've learned something. If you have any questions, please reach out to me either over Discord, email me, or catch me in a live, and I will help you in any way, shape, or form that I can. Please make sure you hit that like. Please make sure you're subscribed. Thank you guys for tuning in. I love you guys. God bless.